Welcome to another episode of the Leverage Podcast. Today, it is my pleasure to have the owner of Bass Printing Company, Al Warner. Al, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, John. I appreciate it. A pleasure.
I'm excited to speak with you, especially after speaking yesterday, learning a lot about your story. I was just thinking all night, I cannot wait to share this man's decades-long career with our audience. Not to date you, of course, but you have a lot of incredible experience, and I'd love to hear all about it. To start out, please tell us, what is Bass Printing Company and what do you do there?
Yeah, at Bass Printing, we are a print management and brokerage firm,
Yep.
and we help small and medium sized businesses to design and print their various marketing assets, from business cards to yard signs and banners. And one of the things that we do is we try to offer free shipping to all of our customers,
Oh,
while giving
wow.
them excellent prices and fast service.
That's incredible. Now, is there any limit to what you will print? Are we printing everything? Is there something that we should know you're not printing? Or is there something you specialize
No, we
specifically
print
with?
everything. Even, I mean, we do specialize in paper products,
Mm-hmm.
but we print shirts such as the one, you see this one is embroidered,
Yep.
caps, and of course, business cards, brochures, and the like. Yeah,
And you're the one-stop shop for all these printing things.
exactly.
And I
Yes.
understand you service clients internationally, right? Globally, not
Yes.
just in the US?
Yes. Yes. We have a number of clients in the Caribbean, especially, that we
Wonderful.
service, from St. Thomas in the U.S. Virgin Islands. We service the university there quite often,
Hmm.
and also in St. Kitts, which is well, St. Kitts and Nevis. Nevis is the home of Alexander Hamilton.
Is that right?
Yes, we do a lot of printing for them,
That's
shirts,
incredible.
brochures, and so on. Yes,
Love that. So if you're listening, if you're watching the podcast, doesn't matter where you are or what you need printed, Bass Printing has you covered. Well, Al,
yes,
I know you've owned this business for just a little over 8 years, and your career has spanned, let's say, a little longer than 8 years, to be
yes.
fair. Why don't you take us back to the origin of this incredible career you've had? Where did you start?
So I started printing at Procter and Gamble, developing first some inks for Bounty and then printing on Bounty. Bounty is the quicker picker upper.
Yes, it
And we
is.
wanted, yeah, so our marketing folks came up with this brilliant idea of printing, yeah, of printing sharp multicolor images on Bounty kitchen towels. And we thought, man, that's impossible. This picker upper. And of course, they wanted it with water based inks.
That's right.
Yes. So that's where it all started. And we were able to accomplish that. And we did a good job, and Bounty sales just took off,
Wow.
and we crushed the competition.
Well, so what you're telling me is marketing had what could be viewed as an unreasonable, very creative idea,
Yes.
and then the doers had to figure out, how do we actually do this thing?
Yes.
And then it turned out that marketing did have a great idea once you
It was
figured it
a
out.
fantastic idea.
So tell me this, how does one print on the quicker picker upper with a water-based paint if it's made to absorb water? That sounds
And
like quite the
spread.
conundrum.
Yeah. So we had to come up with some clever chemistries, working with a certain large ink company. I'm not going to
Mm-hmm.
say the name, but we worked together collaboratively. And then we also had to figure out the chemistry in the paper that helped us to make the two work together. So we have dry strength additives in the paper, as well as wet strength additives. So we
Uh-huh.
have to combine that chemistry with the chemistry of the ink, and that helped to stop the bleeding of the ink and the spreading. So we got a very sharp image.
Right.
Pretty clever chemistry. So as a chemical engineer, and then other members of the team assisted with that, to make it happen. But then there was also the whole idea of you can't use any type of heating system or you'll.
Oh, here we go.
So
Right.
it was tricky. It was extremely difficult. But we figured it out and we made it work.
Well, I could picture a potential catastrophe. What if somebody spills a barrel of this paint that can't be wiped up with Bounty paper towels? What do we do then?
And we had several of those. We've had spills and leaks in the first early machines. So
Uh-huh.
we actually printed it with a process called flexographic water-based ink printing
Wow, that's the first time
without
I've
a
heard that
dryer.
term.
No dryers whatsoever.
No dryers.
Nope. Because you can have fires. Because, as with many paper products, they produce dust. And there's
That's right.
nothing like a dusty tunnel or in a hazardous fire zone.
Wow.
Not
That's a
good.
great point.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that I think a lot of us who aren't inventing new things to create these new solutions never consider.
Yes.
Um, do you remember what that time span was from when you got the request from marketing to when you guys finally figured it out? How much back and forth and testing and failure before success?
It was a lot of back and forth because, well, first of all, there's probably like a 6 months lag where we thought these guys in marketing are crazy. So we basically did nothing and we tried to kill the idea until
Right.
one of our VPs kind of laid down the law, made us really start doing it, and we put together budgets and plans to build the first machine that can do that. And we looked
Yeah,
at different manufacturers across the globe, frankly, until we settled on one who could do it.
that's
And
really interesting.
yeah, but I would say overall, it took us about 2.5 years.
Wow.
It's a
Thanks,
lot of
marketing.
work, just all the chemistries involved, and then how do you build a machine for a certain target price, and then how fast do you run it to make it economical, because we
Sure.
had certain price points that we wanted to hit,
Hmm.
make it all profitable. So it took a while.
Now, once you figured that out, were there other applications that you were able to say, hey, we invented this technology or we have this machine. We've got a lot of different products at Procter and Gamble. How can we like optimize the ROI on this machine beyond Bounty paper towels?
Yes, that's exactly. And one of the things that we do at P&G, and we do so well, is called search and reapply. So if you have a product or process that works
Hmm.
in one area, then we look for other areas in which we could apply it. So, for example, we use similar technologies for applying lotion, and that was one of my projects. How do we take this printing technology and use that to apply lotions on certain products,
Interesting.
such as Charmin bathroom tissue.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's one of the ones that we use that thing, and then later on we applied the same technology to Pampers very, very, very thin backsheet film
Right.
because
For diaper rashes, right?
we had learned how to feed very stretchy, very soft Bounty kitchen towel paper through a high-speed printing press. So
Hmm.
doing it on a kitchen, I mean, on a back sheet for a very thin white film for Pampers became like, well, it wasn't easy at first, but we certainly had some ideas of how to control the tensions and the web paths and so on.
Wow.
And
You
tension,
know,
yeah.
I have a feeling hearing that story, especially originally about Bounty with marketing. I've worked in some marketing departments, so I've been on that side of the table where we're suggesting the ideas that sound cool but are impossible to, you know, put in to make reality. About what percentage would you say of requests you got that could not be figured out? And then
Hmm.
how many, was there a breakthrough and created new technology?
Yeah, I would say, honestly, I would say 50%.
Mm,
We had looked at somewhere, for example, digital printing, where we wanted to use inkjet, even frankly, to do customization and bounty, using inkjet for customization, where we did very small runs,
yeah.
to say, hey, baby John, happy birthday or something, right?
Yeah, that's cool.
And there's a huge opportunity in that area, but for a large company such as Procter and Gamble, it's tough. Number one, we got to make the technology work, and a lot of times on companies such as Procter and Gamble, Kimberly Clark, and so on, they don't want to talk millions; they want to talk billions.
That's right.
How many billions are you going to make from this project?
That's right.
And finance is not going to be too very interested. So
That's
we
right.
end up saying, that's it, kill this project.
Yeah, and I'm sure that when you're in this inventing role, right? You're in an engineer type of a
Yes,
role. And so you're getting requests from marketing or maybe other departments, and you're thinking, is this possible?
yes,
And they're thinking, not only is this possible, but what is the ROI
yes,
on the immediate project, on the long project, and it's got to be in the billions. Is the juice worth the squeeze? Is a term
yes,
that I heard a lot in the
exactly.
agency world.
And to be honest, part of the innovation that we come up with
Hmm.
includes a huge team. So we have marketing, we have sales, and all
Yeah.
these guys, of course, finance and accounting, and they each have their say. And they would come up with like, okay, if you run your machine faster, this is what happens to the ROI.
Yeah.
Yeah, and engineering would say, wow, if I run the machine faster, this is the risk of a fire.
Yeah. Everything catches on fire. There's
Yeah.
your ROI.
So we're
Yeah.
gonna be, back and forth, and we were fortunate in that we found a certain university just north of Cincinnati, where P&G is headquartered, where we
Hmm.
can go and test out our ideas and speeds and so on. And that
Wonderful.
helped us to fine tune the whole design, for example. So not only speed, but also so the overall throughput. So speed isn't the only thing. So the question
Right.
is, how wide can we then make this printing press?
Mm.
Because then we're looking at the square feet per minute.
And then you can run it at the same speed, but you have a lot more output because you have a
Yes,
wider.
yes,
Ah.
yeah. So it's very clever. And then how do we, for example, also remove the dust? Is there something that we can use to a vacuum that can suck the air and clean the sheet as we run it through the press?
That's so super interesting. Another question on that topic. Did you ever invent something on accident that got used? And what I mean by that is you're probably trying all sorts of stuff, you're experimenting all sorts of things, and someone said, "Wait a minute, there's an application for this, or we tried this and it did this thing that we can use." Was that something that ever happened?
Not with me personally,
Hmm.
but I know in other parts of the business where that has happened, where somebody accidentally left a mixer running for too long,
Yeah.
and we got a nice foamy looking product out of it. And we thought, wait a minute, what can we do with a foamy, spongy polyurethane type structure? We can use it for scrubbing pots and pans and that sort of thing.
There you go.
Yeah, so that's a very important thing.
Goes perfectly with the bounty paper towels.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh, and well, that's a great jumping off point because I hear that you spent all this time at this giant company,
yes,
huge bureaucracy, I'm sure, tons of
yeah,
departments, global company, and then you go on to acquire Bass Printing Company, and now you're still serving clients globally, but it's a
Right.
smaller organization.
Yes.
What has that been like making that switch from the big bureaucracy and being an employee to being the owner of a more streamlined operation?
Yeah, actually, it was quite challenging because now I'm not just an employee, right? But now I have to own the company and really own everything, so to speak,
Yeah.
literally, and giving direction to folks, dealing with many customers, dealing with finance and accounting and so on, you know. So we acquired Bath in May of 2018,
Mm-hmm.
and we started to learn and grow. And of course, we lost some customers along the way for
Yep.
various reasons. But then we got one big hit right after one of our best months ever in 2020.
Can I guess?
It's called COVID.
Yes. I think we all
Oh
experienced
my
that one. My
goodness.
goodness.
That was a shocker to us. At that time, we had 14 employees. We had just hired two because we started off, well, actually, we started off with eight, then 12, then 14. And then all of a sudden, I mean, everything just went south. We had a lot of customers who had stopped printing because they couldn't open their doors, be it restaurants.
Yeah.
There's a museum, the Kimball Art Museum. They just stopped printing because they couldn't open. So that really put a damper on things for us. It was a tough time.
Wow. So as you're working through this, I mean, I think this is a story everyone can relate to, right? Most of
Yeah,
us lost our jobs or at
yeah,
least for a short time, or, obviously we can't do the things that we're used to doing, and everybody was hit. So as you're a business owner in
yeah,
this moment and just a couple years in as well, right?
yeah,
So I'm sure
yes,
you're just kind of everything's starting to roll and then this happens.
yes.
What did you figure out in that moment when every business in the world was disrupted?
Well, we had to be creative. And so we ended up saying, look, well, of course, I had to make some tough decisions, and we had to lay off several persons, not all at
Hmm.
once, but gradually. And it was tough. It was one of the uh, some of the toughest decisions that I had to make. So we went from 14 employees down to eight, and we
That's
stayed at
tough on
eight.
everybody.
Yeah. So, but what we did was we said, look, is there anything else that we can do to make money and keep us in business? Because this COVID thing, I thought, would blow over at some point in
Yeah.
a year or less, and then we will have a business to, grow. So we started doing a couple of, well, more than a couple of things. For example, printing fake money. That was
Fake
one of the,
money.
yes,
I when I was growing up, my mom told me not to print fake money, but here you're telling me that I guess it it could be too realistic, is what you're telling me.
no, it couldn't be too realistic. So actually, we had two customers that called us about that. And we brought in Homeland Security to check what we were doing. And they gave us some good advice and the green light to do it. And then I found out that it turns out that the government actual printery that prints our currency, that
Hmm.
the dollars are meant to be not perfect. But the way we were doing it, they had to be perfect. Of course, the serial
Interesting.
numbers and so on, there's only so much you can print, right? On a
Right.
printer press. So, but yeah, they blessed us with that. And then we also got into apparel, even though we didn't do it enough as we are doing now, but at the time. And also promotional products
Hmm.
and international marketing. We reached out to some customers in the Caribbean, in the Virgin Islands, thanks to my wife, and to St. Kitts, which is where I'm from originally. And we got some, so that helped keep the machine running.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, as you're identifying these pivots, how many of these were, let's apply the same process, but just print a different type of product? And how much was it, we need to really innovate and we either need to invest in new technology or we need to completely adapt our printing capabilities to add this new offering?
See, that was one of the challenges. We had to adapt a little bit because the paper that was used for printing the monies, the fake money,
Hmm.
is a little bit different. It's actually a little bit more absorbent and softer because you don't want to have crinkly paper for printing the fake dollar bills and stuff. So we had to
Yeah, that
adapt.
makes sense.
Yes, yeah. And we had a very good um, offset press that we used. We had to adapt the drying process so that we don't burn the paper also, but we wanted it to be dry so it didn't smell of the type of inks that we were using. So it was quite a bit. Yeah, it was challenging.
Well, that's super interesting. Every guest on this show, I always ask about the leverage that they've discovered that has
Yeah.
really helped grow their business to help scale, whether that's sometimes that's a hire, sometimes it's a system, sometimes it's a mindset. What is the leverage that you've discovered throughout your career that has helped you where you are today?
Yeah, I think a couple of things. Number one is don't panic. There are solutions to most every problem. And note I said solutions, so it's not just one. And I've
Right.
learned, especially in my early career at Procter and Gamble, that typically there are two or three good factors that drive any solution, that drive any problem. So you got to
Yeah.
figure out, and sometimes any one person wouldn't have the answer. So you got to ask different persons, hey, what do you think, John? What do you think, Paul? What do you think, Jane, about and then, get together, discuss it, kick it around, argue, and then come to a conclusion on probably the top three or four and go test them.
Yeah.
So that helped a lot. And that is why, for example, we came with the money idea to print money, the fake money. So that, yeah. Um, and for example, one of the challenges that we had early on in P&G with our toilet paper was this whole idea of solving a lotion tissue issue. It was called Charmin Plus. I forgot
Uh-huh.
what it's called. Yeah, right. So we had to find a lotion that was low cost, but still lubricious and not hurt the skin of babies. And so I
Very
was
important.
that challenge, and I ended up getting, I don't know, quite a few patents around different lotion formulations, and then the process to apply lotions to toilet paper, to facial tissue, and here's the big one, to diapers, diaper top sheets.
Yeah, that's a big one. That's an important one in a lot of households
Yes,
around the world.
exactly. Because it basically help moms and dads and babies to solve the diaper rash issue.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a protective layer that was left on the skin once a baby wore a diaper with our lotion. Or maybe I can say my lotion.
Yeah, that's incredible. I mean, that's so cool. I can't wait for our audience to hear that because I'm sure just about everybody has probably purchased that product at some
Yes,
point in their lives. And, you're helping obviously the health of the child.
exactly.
But for those of us who have children, we all know if that kid can sleep, if that kid is comfortable versus having a
Yes,
rash to deal with, it's a lot less crying. It's a lot more sleep for everybody in the home.
exactly. And actually, that drove some marketing at P&G. I don't know if you saw those ads, or maybe your parents did, John. We had talked about a nice, calm sleep.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't telling you about lotion, it's telling you about you can sleep better, you, baby, and the whole household will sleep better.
Well, that's an offering that every new parent is gonna
Yes.
buy is can we all sleep better?
Yep. That
Um,
was huge.
I love that. I have a couple more questions for you. One is, and you can take this for your P&G career or you can take this for your bass printing career.
Hmm.
But if you were to give yourself advice on day
Yes.
one with all that you know now, what's a
Yes.
piece of advice that you would give your former self?
Hmm. It's something that I'm actually writing a book about, and that's that marketing yourself or your business. So
Hmm.
let me do it for bass printing. I have learned over the last 4 years or so that there are really three legs to marketing bass printing. And the three are as follows. And it varies by the type of business, whether it's B2B or B2C business. One,
Yeah.
you got to have in-person connections, communication, building relationships. If you want to sell somebody something, get to know him or her. Number
Yes.
two, yeah. Number two, you got to have a digital presence, whether it's Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, because as I tell you what, a lot of people shop on their telephone, on their tablets, or on their computers, right?
That's right.
You got to reach them where they are. And then the last one, which favors bass printing, is you got to have printing.
Yeah.
If you don't have something tangible, your customers, your consumers will probably forget what your service or product or your brand is all about. So, for example, things such as simple as a business card, right? Have that to, oh, wow,
Yeah.
I remember John. Or a magnet for the refrigerator
Right.
that has, whatever business you're in, it's got your name, your contact information, a QR code these days. Now that we are in the, 2020s, you can print a QR code or a website or something.
That's right. And I,
Yeah.
I would add to that experiences I've had with the business card.
Yes.
I used to work at a design studio, and so we had everything we had was very well designed, because we had
Yes.
great designers. And so we had business cards that were a suede cardstock.
Yep.
And now they did cost about $1 each, so they were cheap. So it's kind of like, do I want to
Yes.
give my expensive card to this person or this person? But the effect was when I would hand my card to somebody and they felt it, it was
Yes.
immediately, oh. And I said, You know what? Wait till you see the quality of our designs."
There you
That's just
go.
the business card, right?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
The other thing I'm interested in that you mentioned is you talked about the importance of digital, you talked about the importance of in person and the importance of tangible, right?
Yes.
In today's digital age, it seems like everybody is just rushing to the digital. How can we make sure that we prioritize in person and tangible in a digital world?
Yeah. So th- there's not quite a 30-30-30 split, but you've got to have go meet people, shake their hand, look
Yeah,
eye to eye, listen to them, because just doing something on Facebook, ah, it's not enough. You got to get to know people and build a relationship with them and develop something, a very simple old word, trust.
right.
So you got to develop that trust. And like you said earlier, if you give them a card, a business card, whether it's plastic or metal, and it says, wow, then you say, hey, guess what? We can do even more. We can do a special yard sign or special retractable banner or a folded brochure. So I got one here that has all this folding, a hexagonal, something
Yeah.
that will impress people and make them say, wow.
Well, that's a great point. And I think in
Yeah.
today's digital age, the tangible and in-person thing sticks out even more,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Sometimes I speak with people who talk about the importance of writing a letter,
Yes.
and so there was a point where letters were, not really relevant, but now that everything is digital and it's just, you see someone wrote with a pen,
Yes.
you see their handwriting, you see that they took the time to get the card, to put in the envelope, to put in the mail, to get your address right, right?
Correct.
There's a lot of thought and intention that we take for granted. And I'll tell
Yes.
you one more thing, is the in-person aspect. And
Yes.
COVID really taught me this. I was part of an organization and I was helping to put on a conference, a
Yes.
nationwide conference in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the first conference in our industry to come back from COVID. And I
Uh,
will tell you, the halo effect of that event, it was one of two things. It was either, oh my goodness, my friend, I have not seen you in person in 2 years.
yes.
How are you? Give me a hug,
Yes.
Or I've seen you all the time the last 2 years, but we met on LinkedIn or Facebook or
Yes.
something else. And this is my first time actually being able to see you, to
See you.
touch you,
Yes.
to,
In person.
you know, and I'll tell you, that experience showed me there's just something inherently inside all of us that we crave this human connection.
Yes.
And you can get this awareness online, and it's important, as you're saying, to have a mix of these things.
Yes.
But I definitely urge our listeners and our viewers that, yes, get your awareness online, get to where people are digitally, but don't overlook the importance of making that experience and creating a memory in person.
Yes. Yes. Exactly. And there are many ways to do it. Like I would urge people to join, for example, their local chamber of commerce,
Hmm.
Rotary Club, or BNI,
Yeah,
Business Networking International, and the other organizations such as that. But yeah, those are very important.
that's great feedback. Well, I have one last question for you, Al,
Yes.
and it's about your legacy.
Yes.
And you've built a lot of things. I think you've probably built a lot of things than a lot of people around the whole world with all of your experience of all these inventions, but you also have built businesses. Through all you've built and all that you're doing, what do you hope people remember about you?
Um, I hope that they would remember me as a good mentor. I enjoyed and still do enjoy mentoring, especially young people.
Yeah.
So that was one of my legacies at Procter and Gamble. Um, Folks would always ask me, Al, how do you make time to mentor all these people? Because
Uh-huh.
in fact, I can say definitively that I never turned anybody down who wanted to
Wow.
meet with me. I'll stop what I'm doing and help them out. But the, and the reason being is that my dad once told me something. He told me that a person would find time to do the things that they want to do. So I made it my mission. Look, I got a lot of help when I joined Procter and Gamble. I had a guy. His name is Mike Tafuri. He's now in the great beyond. But
Hmm.
Mike put me under his wing, and because I stuttered a lot, I could hardly get my words out.
Mm.
He took me under his wing, him and his wife, and encouraged me to go see a speech therapist. And it made a difference in my life. So now
Yeah.
I'm just paying it forward to these young people.
I love that.
Yeah. So,
I would also I've had experience mentoring some folks and being mentored
yes,
myself as well. And so I would also send a message to the listeners and the viewers saying, first of all, if you are a young person, don't be intimidated to reach out to someone for mentorship.
yes,
Older, experienced people actually see it as an honor that you
yes,
go to them and would ask their advice. And there's just such a joy, right, of being
yes,
able to go to somebody who's young who will listen and just share the wisdom of all the
yes,
years that you have. And then on the other side, if you have not mentored somebody, but you have experience, I would encourage you, and I think Al, you would do the same. It's such a fulfilling and enjoyable use of your time.
Yep.
to be able to take what you've learned and pour it into other folks and
Exactly.
help them
Yep.
scale and leverage their lives.
Yep. And that's very unselfish to do that, you know.
Yeah,
So in BNI, we say givers gain. So for me, I find that when I give and share, that I actually get, not that I'm doing it to gain something, but it just turns out that more often than not, I get something back somehow from somebody else, for example.
absolutely.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And that's a very, especially here in the South, here in Texas, that's a mentality that a lot of people embrace. You know, I've
yeah,
been all over the country, and there's a very important woman who came in from Boston, and she met with a team that I was part of, and she came away saying, "I can't believe how generous all of you are."
yeah,
And a good friend of mine who's been a mentor, he said it quite well. He said, "You know, we just have a belief. We're not looking for the value return immediately, but we just have a
yep,
belief that if I help you, at some point I'm going to be in a place of need, and you're going to have that goodwill, and you're going to do the same for me that I'm doing to you today." And I think that's an
yep,
incredible attitude to operate with.
yep, exactly. Yep.
Well, I love that. Al, last question for you, just so people can find Bass Printing. So everybody, if you need anything printed, whether that's fake money, whether that's even if it can't be printed, we might be able to figure it out here.
Yes.
Al, how can folks find Bass Printing in the ways that you'd like them to?
Yeah, they can find us on www.bass, BASS, like the fish,
Mm-hmm.
printing.com. Or they
Fantastic.
can always call us on 817-616-8761, and we'll be able to connect with them and give them free consultation or quotations or whatever.
That
Yep.
sounds great. I encourage all our listeners to reach out. Al, thank you so much for sharing your story today. It's incredible what you've accomplished, and it's been a privilege having you on the Leverage podcast.
Thank you so very much, John. I appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Yep.